mataifa, tuifufueni juu mizizi iliyokufa, tuipateni suluhu kwa kujenga maarifa. Let us revive and thrive, jamani, Cashew industry. Korosho tuilindeni, ni zao lenye thamani, mipango tuiwekeni, jinsi ya kuikuzaini. Tuianzeni shambani hadi kule viwandani. Let's restore Cashew industry and make it to flourish. Wakulima wa korosho hima tuwawezesheni, ifanyiwe maboresho elimu yao shambani. Tuwapatie mafunzo wa apply shambani. Let's restore Cashew industry and make it to flourish. For it to be wonderfully like days back then, farm level productivity to itilie manani. Let's add value locally to attract investments. Introduce technology from the bottom of it. Let's restore Cashew industry and make it to flourish. For it to be wonderfully like days back then, farm level productivity to Italy manine. Let's add value locally to attract investments. Let's restore Cashew industry and make it to flourish. Uhaba wa vibanda ndio ulotuangusha, wakulima walipanda kwa kosa kwa kupeleka. Tukifufua vibanda changamoto zitaisha. Let's restore Cashew industry and make it to flourish. Ni mgalamu beni na haki yake mpeni, pegu tukizipewani, mimea tukipewani, na sihi tuipandeni. Pamoja tuamueni korosho kuirudishani. Let's restore Cashew industry and make it to flourish. I have finished already, I am winding up. My name is Hamad, you can find me in YouTube. Everything is ready for now, I finish up. Thank you.
Ngoja. Nataka unifunze tu hiyo line Let's restore Cashew industry and make it flourish. Unisaidie twende. Haya, twende nikufuate.
Let's restore Cashew industry. Anzia hapo.
And make it.
You have destroyed it.
Asante sana. Wapi makofi yake bana? Hiyo sauti si ile inatoka kwa kifua, inatoka kwa tumbo hiyo. Sijui ama inatoka wapi, sijui. Asante sana. Labda ni ile samaki. Haya. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Naona tumefika kwa wengi, asanteni sana. Naomba sasa kwa huu muda nialike the chairperson of this session, that is none other than Dr. Benjamin Kivuva, Director Crop Systems Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization, aje hapa ndio tuelekeze kwa kutualikia pia wageni wetu wa this session. Karibu sana. Makofi tafadhali kwake. Asante sana.
Asante moderator and habari ya jioni. Habari ya adhururi. Wale wanaingia waingie, tunataka kuanza hizi section ya mafunzo. Na tunayo mtaalamu mkuu wa korosho kutoka Tanzania. Amefanya kazi sana na idara ya utafiti ya Tanzania yenye inaitwa TARI. Amefanya sana, na pia university pale Tanzania amefanya sana, East and Central and West Africa, akishauri watu upandaji wa korosho. Akona experience ya 37 years katika upanzi wa korosho. Hilo ni kusema anayo wisdom ama hekima yenye labda sisi kama wakulima tunahitaji, hata sisi wanasayansi tunahitaji kusikia kutoka kwake, ambayo itatusaidia kupeleka mbele ukulima wa korosho. Tunahitaji kurevive ukulima wa korosho ndio ipate kuendelea na mbele. Kwa hivyo nataka ukue makini, usikilize, upate mawaidha ya kuenda mbele katika ukulima wa korosho. Hivyo basi nataka kumwalika Professor Peter Masawe akuje atupatie presentation yake. Professor, tupatie changamoto na suluhisho yake, manake hatuna wakati mwingi, ndio wakulima ama wote walio katika hii kongamano wasome sana kwa muda mfupi. Asante.
Tumkaribishe kwa makofi tafadhali Profesa akija. Asante sana. Karibu Profesa. Slides please.
Habari za mchana mabibi na mabwana. My name is Peter Masawe, a retired researcher but not yet tired, but also a large-scale cashew farmer. My presentation will be on research, innovation, and technology in cashew industry. My presentation outline will be as follows: genetic improvement, propagation techniques, orchard management, rehabilitation of all the cashew farms. Let us start with genetic improvement. Genetic improvement, we are talking about breeding. And as we are all aware, breeding of cashew is a long-term business. It's not like the annual crops. It takes a lot of time. Researchers need to be patient and, more importantly, to be self-motivated because of the time taken to get the results. It took Tanzania 20 years to release the first variety, 16 years research varieties, and the rest of them came later, 2016, 2017, and 2024. That was the end of the research in Tanzania. But currently, we have developed a system that it can take 9 to 10 years to release a variety. More importantly, I will explain it later. You can take 3 years to have improved planting material. Breeding requires a lot of land, and also it requires a lot of human resource. It requires a lot of reliable and sustainable financial resources for infrastructure development, machineries, laborers, and transport. And this is the place where most countries, they fail to support the cashew research. But there's a way forward. You don't need to be worried about it. Of course, when you are doing breeding, everybody thinks of importing material. I have a different perception completely. We need to start with selection of elite mother trees in the country of origin, where they have already adopted an environment to shorten the period of getting improved planting material. Varieties will come later. You can introduce a germplasm from another country, but that will be a second option. The evaluation takes many years before data can be collected. We have the selection criteria, which we must consider the processors, not only the farmers in terms of yield. You can have a very good variety, you cannot peel, you get it broken, get everything. So our center of focus should be the processor. Of course, the yield has to be put on a priority. The rest, the number of trees, and those are science, they don't need to know it. And this is a place where now I would like all of you to pay attention. Usually, when we select elite mother trees from the farmer's field, we use DNA fingerprinting to select the materials which are genetically distant. Now, if you collect data from farmer's field for 3 years and you do DNA fingerprinting, whatever you select there is already improved planting material. You can directly take them to the nurseries for multiplication. The rest they can go to the gene bank, and below there they can be used also to develop genetic trial. And we can create even polyclonal seed orchards. We can also create sign orchards, and we can also go for the genetic trial for the release of the cashew varieties. So the current knowledge is, as far as the farmer is concerned, like in Kenya here, you don't like to take 9 to 12 years to develop a variety. We will develop improved planting material. Varieties will come later. The criteria for selection is high yielding. I will elaborate later in the photos what is the high yielding, but high nut quality, that's very, very important for the processors. Big nut size. Acceptable shape, should be kidney, not shriveled. High percentage outturn, easy kernel separation, holes recovery, easy tester peeling, free from diseases and pests, and tolerant to major pests. This is a hybrid, a variety in Tanzania. A variety must produce twice its age, minimum. So if it is 10 years old, it must produce 20. If it's 5 years, it must produce 4. Also, it must be earlier fruiting. We've spent a lot of time in harvesting. Harvesting cashew can take up to 120 days. We need varieties that harvesting takes only 45 days. You have collected almost 70 to 80% of your yield. This is another component which actually affects a lot the processors. When you peel the apple, it does not separate, it remains on the nut. So you cannot store. If you store for a long time, it will germinate. So processors, they are all compelled sometimes to use knife to cut it so that they can keep it for a longer period. During the selection, even if it's higher yielding, forget about it. It's a waste of time to keep it. This is a good nut shape. I was talking about the shape, kidney shape. And this is a bad nut shape. Their variety is very high yielding, but this is what they give you. Forget about it. There are also shriveled nuts, which sometimes inside they are void, and you cannot separate you cannot peel the tester from the kernels. We have also this high yielding. Majority of the researchers, they run into this one. It has a negative effect. The higher the nut set, the smaller the nuts. That is the formula. But unfortunately, you can get a very interesting variety. It will have a good nut set and a high yielding also. It's not working. Next. Okay. I was trying to mention about the diseases. These are the disease-free, how it should look into the farm. Next. This is a powdery mildew disease. This is how it will look in the farm, from the flashes to the mature fruits. Next. This is cashew leaf and night blight disease. This is very serious. It's very difficult to control. The fungicides are very expensive. It's about $75 a kilo. And you must spray every time it rains. So you must develop a variety completely resistant or partially resistant to night blight disease. Otherwise, it can wipe the crop almost to 100% for variety. This is anthracnose. It's a common disease. If it does not rain during fruiting, the disease will never come. But when the apples are ripe on the tree, you are waiting and you have even bought the bags for keeping the nuts. They will hang on the tree. Maybe you can use something else to bring them down, but they will never come down. This is the major sucking pest. I know most of you knows them and their effect. On the top, they are available in East Africa, and below, they are available in West Africa, and this is what makes the kernels to be spotted. This is mealybug. Mealybug is very irritating, but also it comes as an outbreak. There is no variety resistant to mealybug, but also they don't come every year. These are stem borers. They are available in East Africa. You will see a lot of them. We have another stem girdler from Tanzania, the one on the top, and below is from Ghana, West Africa. When you are developing a variety or improved planting material, you must have a control of or standard variety. Anything performing above the standard variety, it is picked immediately, even if with a data of 3 years, you release it as a variety. And this is what happened to my hybrids. It took me only 3 seasons to release the hybrids. This is one of the varieties which we are using as a standard. Look at the age of 10. What it produces at the age of 10 is what determines if it's a good variety or not. This one produces 41 kilogram. This is for common cashew trees. At the it produces 67. These are our standard varieties. Anything you release in Tanzania should be either a Dafu or a common one. They should be producing higher than the one pointed here. The color of the fruit is not a selection criteria, completely. Challenges in the genetic improvement is financial resources in Africa, inadequate land, India, Brazil, and others. That's why there is no variety in India, there is no variety in Brazil, because they have no land. Africa, we have everything, but we have no money. But I'll tell you later how we can get money in Africa. Very cheap money, very cheap and sustainable money. I'll tell you later. We have outbreak of the diseases. We have inefficient multiplication system. We'll discuss it later. And the varieties are not reaching farmers. Also, they are not reaching farmers, not because farmers don't need them, not because extension staff don't need them, because there are no financial resources. So the main issue here is financial resources. Let us go to the propagation techniques. Cashew traditionally is propagated by seed, and trees raised by seed take long time to reach reproduction, maturity, and everything, but they are not genetically uniform. Variation is eliminated by vegetative propagation, but the propagation by cuttings, air layering, marcoting, stooling are possible. Propagation by budding and grafting is practiced in India, Brazil, and Africa. But tissue culture is a serious problem. Embryo culture has been successful in Tanzania. Those are the areas to invest. I will just show you the success rate in budding depends on the knowledge about the production of quality rootstock. And more importantly, also, we have to know how to select the science for budding. You get the wrong science, you'll never get a success rate. Here, I was trying to demonstrate deep budding procedures. The first one is a seedling, which should be between 20 and 45 days, depending on the substrate you have used. The second one, it is showing how to open the cleft. The third one, it is showing the sign where you are going to get the bud. The last one is showing how you insert the bud. And the last one is tying the bud. And within 30 to 45 days, it will be ready for field planting. Type grafting is that you take a seedling 20 to 45 maximum days old. You cut on top of the two bottom leaves. You insert, you open between the two leaves. You take a sign, insert as I have shown there. You tie it, and within 30 to 45 days, it is ready to go to the field. Tip grafting also, you can wrap the whole iron, or you can put a cap on top of it. But if you are putting a cap or you wrap it, you wait until when you see the bud is bursting. Then you release the tape to allow it to grow slowly. If you remove abruptly, completely, it will also collapse because it will be scorched. Challenges in vegetable propagation, as I mentioned, the budding is very, very efficient, but it has never been adopted in Africa. I tried my best, but it failed in Tanzania, Mozambique, Ghana, even Benin. Farmers, they are not interested in grafting, in taping. They all rushed into grafting because this is what they know. Also, in grafting, the problem also is the location of the scions. Normally, the scion orchards are located far from the farmers. If you locate them very far, they become very expensive to harvest and transport. So what we are recommending is we have to have what we call community scion orchards or community nurseries, where things will be available within the area, and train a lot of farmers in the villages and everywhere to be grafters, because grafting techniques and terrain takes a very short time to be achievable. Let me go to the orchard management. The type of trees we have is, they have common type of trees which are available in Asia and Africa. We have the dwarf type of trees which are available in Brazil for commercial apple production, not nut production. Then we have dwarf type of trees available in Africa because we imported them and planted them without knowing why, and all those ones are used for nut production. We have semi-dwarf, which is a cross between the common and the hybrids. We get the hybrids from there. And we have the giant, mostly from Brazil. All those four, they need completely different management styles. Don't compare one with another. Don't copy from one to another. Each one needs a special treatment. Cashew has a very extended root system, twice the canopy. The height can vary between 6 and 18 meters. You can even go beyond. The canopy diameter is 4 meters for dwarf and 12 meters and beyond for the common types. Management of both types are different. One most important thing is cashew is a periphery bearing, which means any form of pruning is a reduction in yield. Any form. Although it's an annual practice, but I'm warning you, any form of pruning is a reduction in yield. I'll demonstrate later. The spacing of cashew is 4 by 4 meters for dwarf, 7 by 12, and for common is 10 by 10 for areas with the lower rainfall, and 12 by 12 and beyond for areas with rainfall, which is more than 1,500 millimeters. But cashew is very soft. It needs a windbreak. If you are starting, you want to establish an estate, you need a windbreak. And also because it is highly affected by fire. The young nuts are highly susceptible to fire because they have cashew nut shell oil, CNSL. CNSL is like petrol. It catches fire, a tree can disappear in 3 minutes. Agronomic practice mostly is weeding. For young trees, triple weeding, and you also need to intercrop to cut down the costs. Pruning, which is an important practice in the yield, we have something we call formative pruning, we have something we call annual pruning, and something we call annual heavy pruning. Light and heavy pruning if it's not done properly, because of lack of knowledge in all countries, including Tanzania. And some of them, including my own farms. They didn't do the proper pruning, and I missed the yield. Now, I was trying to show you the different type of the dwarf trees at 10 years of age in Brazil. They look like that. They never go above 2 meters. Sorry. This is a tree from my farm, poorly pruned on the right, and on the left side, the same age. Look at what they have been missing. And the majority of the farmers in Africa, they are doing the same thing. If they prune the professor's farm in this way, can you imagine behind the door what is happening? Here is Mozambique. This is Rui. We are trying to demonstrate effect of pruning and not pruning at the age of 2. And it became apparent that in year 1 and 2 and year 3, do not prune. Start pruning in year 4. This is unpruned old cashew farms which are 10 years old. You could see. What is the problem there? The problem there is you cannot collect the nuts that have fallen underneath the tree because the branches are blocking you. What is the solution? You will see later. This is a formative pruning at the Naliendale Research Station, and this is typical for large-scale farmers. There's no way large-scale farmers can avoid pruning. Why? Because they have to allow tractors to pass between the cashew trees. At a space of 12 by 12, if you don't do proper pruning, tractor cannot pass. Manual operation in large scale estates is very expensive. It can ruin completely the profit we are going to make. This is a pruning also in my farm. When I was in Mozambique, I was in Zambia. I sent some technicians to go and do pruning in my farm. This is what they did on the left-hand side and on the right-hand side. In between is a friend of mine, a pilot, who opened 50 hectares of land, and this is what they pruned at the age of 6. Can you imagine what will happen? This is Mozambique, when the Beninese researchers were making a study tour to Mozambique. We went to an estate. I don't like even to mention them because it's really very, very sad. Can you imagine these trees are 4 years old and they are not producing anything? They were supposed to produce 80 kilograms per tree. So far, producing nothing. This is a destruct pruning in Benin. These trees are 6 years old. They produce not a single apple on the tree because they keep on. The guy is in Cotonou and he's boosting himself. He has more than 100 hectares of cashew and he's getting nothing from the thing. He only called me for a consultancy. I failed to write the report because I didn't like to accuse anybody. That was suicidal. This is another farm in Mozambique, large-scale plantation. This man has 200 hectares of cashew, and this is what they did in the destructive pruning. This is again in Benin. You could see 6 years. I think this is a repetition of the other. This is a destructive pruning also for a large-scale farm in Benin belonging to one of the big politicians there, 500 hectares. And this is what they did in 80 years. He is harvesting not a kilogram per tree. In Tanzania, farmers have completely refused to prune. Even if you tell them prune, they will tell you no. They will use stakes to raise, until when it becomes impossible, then they use a chainsaw to do what we call heavy pruning. Thereafter, they will never do it. Challenges in management orchard is, first of all, spacing, improper pruning, time of pruning. If you delay in pruning, you will never get yield the following year because the tree will not respond. So you prune immediately after harvesting, and you have a span of only 2 months. Thereafter, don't prune. Let us go to the rehabilitation. Rehabilitation, it has 2 components. Rehabilitating itself and upgrading. In Kenya here, mostly you need both of them. Rehabilitation is a process of bringing abandoned cashew farm into production. And from what I heard from the previous speakers, this is the scenario in Kenya. And the components include bush clearing, removal of non-cashew trees, weeding, removal of damaged or diseased branches, phytosanitary control of diseases and insect pests, and intercropping. What is upgrading? It's more or less the same. But upgrading is like bringing an existing farm to a higher productivity. And this one involves gap filling, use improved seed and grafted seedlings, selective thinning for unproductive trees, or top working of unproductive trees and for phytosanitary control measures. On the left side, you will see there are spaces between the trees. And we have trees with red apples, and we have trees which are canopy is completely green, which means it doesn't produce. So what will happen? This is first year observation. Second year observation is on the top. You do intercropping, you plant between the lines, and the third one, which will be the year 3, you cut down the trees which have proved to be unproductive. You make them a charcoal if necessary, but with the current knowledge, no need of cutting any tree of any age. I'll tell you later why. And the last one is a farm which is fully upgraded. Now, after upgrading, you find that all the trees in the farm are producing, and the spaces which are remaining there, because we cannot put more trees there, they are used for intercropping. Top working of unproductive trees. Previous knowledge is on the top. 1, 2, 3. Those 1, 2, 3, is the all the knowledge is saying top working should be done at a height of 1 meter or 1.5 meters. On the bottom is the current scenario. We top work on the upper branches without spoiling the tree. You use the trunk, and within 1 year, within 2 years, you start getting your crop, full crop. And the third or fourth year, you will never know if it was even stamped, like the one on the right side there. Recommendations on upgrading and rehabilitation. Thinning of the trees should be based on their performance. Don't thin a tree which is producing very high. Thinning of a tree should be done progressively over years, not at the same time or once in the season. And the time must be done for pruning or whatever the case should be after the harvesting season, immediately after the harvesting season. Because after harvesting season, the tree goes into a state of dormancy. That is when you can tamper with the tree. 2 months later, it becomes active. Of course, through powdery mildew control or rehabilitated trees, orchard, and things of that sort, you are likely even to make more profit from the farm. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I was a little bit fast because the gentleman told me use 10 minutes. Thank you. Muito obrigado. Merci beaucoup.
Chair, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Professor. And I think we are going to have interaction session with the chair, with the professor. And can I have the following up here for interactive session? Dr. Finyanga Pole and Professor Nadia Muhammad and Emmanuel Masha. Kama uko na swali kulingana na vile tumefunzwa hapa, iandae utauliza. Tunataka kusikia kutoka hawa pia ni experts wa ukulima wa korosho, na tunataka kusikia wakiongea kulingana na experience yao kwa mambo fulani yale nitawauliza. Na ningewaomba mkianza kuongea muongee kwa ufupi, straight to the point, ndio to save time. Ukiwa na swali, ninaomba uiandike mahali ama uitayarishe, na ikiwezekana ujue ni nani utauliza. Asante. Nitaanza na we mwalimu, ndio umetufunza. Nitaanza na maswali mawili matatu ambayo utaongelelea ya wenye mkutano pia waendelee na kusoma kwako. Swali la kwanza ni what research priorities should Kenya focus on to rapidly transform its cashew nut sector and remain globally competitive? Swali ya pili, based on your experience, what scalable models exist for revitalizing aging orchards? And number 3, how can Kenya position itself as a regional hub for cashew research and innovation? Haya maswali tatu ningependa uongeleshe wenye hii mkutano, na ukimaliza nitapatia wengine nafasi.
Asante sana kwa maswali mazuri, na nafikiri kwenye theme ya mkutano huu, the theme of this meeting, sorry, I love Kiswahili than English. The theme of this conference today is exactly binded to the questions which have been asked. What should be the priorities for cashew research in Kenya? As I mentioned, breeding should be a priority number one, because if you don't have improved planting material, any other package you are talking about, agronomy, crop protection, processing, will never work. So we have to spend a lot of time to ensure that we are doing breeding. And also, for the researchers, we are not breeding only for yield. Our center of focus should be the processors. The qualities I mentioned there, they should be adhered, that a processor maximizes in processing and the farmer maximizes on the yield. Secondly, it will be about the multiplication of the planting material. As I mentioned, we have to strengthen budding, although many people didn't really adopt it, but I'm sure Kenya, as you are starting now, you know how to do grafting. But I'm telling researchers to undertake a lot of training, because one scion can produce 4 seedlings instead of 1. So concentrate with that one. And the budding is very easy and it's not costly, because the materials are very little. Then also they should concentrate on the tissue culture, because even if it has not been successful in Tanzania, Ghana, Ivory Coast, and Benin, but the embryo culture is a door opening that tissue culture is possible. You can do a tissue culture, but rooting becomes a problem. So your center of focus in tissue culture should be how to root already the plantlets you have done. It will start from there, not the tissue culture itself. And also, because there is a component of the crop protection, we have to be, you don't need to undertake a new research on crop protection. Fungicides, pesticides are already known worldwide. I think Tanzania has recorded more than 400 pesticides. So copy and pest correctly. That's the most important. Train the farmers how to use it in the correct way. The other one, which most countries don't care, is about soil health. I'm not talking about soil fertility. Soil health. Anybody who wants to know what is soil health, should you Google, you will know what's the difference between soil fertility and soil health. For one thing, cashew does not need fertilization. Completely. It has extensive root system, which it can get water from anywhere. It has extensive root system, which can feed it. And I heard one specialist telling me, with the drip irrigation, we can double yield. If we give cashew drip irrigation, it will never fruit. Regarding the aging of the orchard, I already showed there, upgrading and rehabilitation. I don't need to repeat it. Then, for all this to take place, we need sustainable financial resources, infrastructure, machineries, and equipment. How? No government in Africa or Asia has managed to fund the cashew research because it is so costly. Who are the beneficiaries of the cashew research? Stakeholders. Why can't the government introduce 3% export levy, the one I recommended in Tanzania in 1993? Once it was approved, we started. And before, Naliendele Research was getting $500 a year to operate. It was not enough even to buy a bicycle. Now Naliendele is getting $3 million a season, because we have export levy 15%, and 10% of all that one goes to the research. Not in development, it goes to the research. So Kenya, you have to start the ball rolling, involve the politicians, involve the MPs, involve the stakeholders, the processors, and farmers to know exactly why you want to put an export levy. And once it is agreed, it of course has to go through the parliament.
then strengthening links and capacity building. That is one area that university do very well. They can strengthen the link and capacity build, have incubation hubs, extension and training. And now we have TVETA. TVETA is being funded even more than the universities. So this is where we can be able to get these young minds to take us to the next level and be able to do things. So creating, supporting ecosystem policies, again, like Professor has said, we can't do anything without our leaders. And the leaders cannot do anything without policies. And the backing of the policy stops at data. And that data is created at the university, because these minds are the ones that can be able to take us. Now with this data, where do you get the data from? You get the data, especially most universities, we have lecture theaters, classes, and maybe the land is finished. So we need to be able to also do on-farm research. So you do that linkage, that is where you can be able to get data. So this farm, which is available, and it's empty, so why don't I now take my students for attachment, internship, for them to be able to then do on-farm research and be able to create the data that we require. So it goes hand in hand, very much so. So again, why do we need this data? Because that is where precision comes in. Without data, you can just wake up and decide, okay, let me do, 5 by 5. Maybe professor is wrong, let me do 5 by 5. Let me do, 14 by 14 instead of 12 meters by 12 meters. But then data has already been done for you to see that this is the precision that is required for you to get high yielding. So again, we go back to, the university students or higher learning areas so that they can be able to do those things. Water management. You would have thought drip irrigation will even produce more. But look at what has now research shown, what the data has shown, that it's the other way around. You're actually going to kill it, and that's the end of that tree. So again, when you complain, but then data has shown that let's not do drip irrigation, and let's now look at the production that we're getting from that. So, and then again, these days, I think what we've seen in Kenya, the weather predictions are more or less very, very, to the point. We were told that last week is going to rain, and it did rain. So again, we can be able to then, have this data. And this is where were they able to give us those predictions? Again, it's from, technology. So again, if we use technologies, we can be able to then look into this matter and be able to tell when do we need to do the pruning. You would have thought that maybe pruning is when you're doing your harvesting, but then it says that you need to wait until you have harvested. Again, this is coming from data that has shown to be able to increase yield and productivity. So again, optimizing seed selection. I think Professor has said that as well. And again, that came from research. So this is very, very important. And lastly, maybe looking into sustainability and environmental compliance. The carbon footprint tracking. I think with the canopy that you're talking about, I'm surprised you didn't mention on the carbon footprint that is there with the canopy. And this is now, it's world over that, it's carbon footprints that are required. And then again, soil health monitoring. I'm not talking about soil fertility. We've had Professor talked about that as well. Where did that come from? Again, data. So we need to look into universities and invest. And let's not wait for the government. Let's not wait for donors. Let's not wait for anything. You have a bit of space, come to university, ask us. I need some students to come, and they can come and do internship in my place. What do the students want? They want marks. So they'll give you the best. And so far, I've worked with a few. I've worked also with the coconut industry, and I've seen what can be achieved with very, very little time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor, for those comments. And let's clap. Let's we'll clap for them as they finish, all of them at once. But I want to nataka kuuliza mkulima mkuu hapa anaitwa Emmanuel Masha atuelezee mambo mawili matatu. Ni mkulima mwenzenu, anapanda mkorosho. From a farmer's perspective, what innovation have had the greatest impact on productivity? And number two, what challenges do farmers face in adopting new technologies, and how can they be addressed? Please,
Okay, thank you. Asante kwa nafasi hii na naongea kwa wakulima kiasi. The challenges, I'll start with the innovations, the innovative approaches. I think the situation as has been presented here is one which is sad, so to speak. We are not doing very good, and for a historical period of over 30 years, we are going down. In such a situation, I think we need first to bring it to what we expect as normal situation before we even innovate further. So I would say that priority at the farmer's side at the moment is farmers need to be assisted to be able to give the best care, the minimum basic agronomic practices, so that our trees that we have can start producing well. And we are talking of not so complicated things that we can call innovations. Trees are in the bush, they need to be weeded, rehabilitate neglected crops, and plant, do weeding, manure, and such. That's what we need before we start talking about big innovation. That's where we need at the moment. And doing that alone will create a lot of difference. I want just to highlight just one thing that I have seen practically in my farm. When I started harvesting, I didn't do any pest management. I didn't do any disease management. And I could monitor the harvest the way it is. After about a year, I started controlling just one disease, powdery mildew, because it's known and the cure is known. And can you imagine, yield more than doubled just by that action of spraying twice when the flowers come. So these are the things, I don't think they are called innovations, but these are the things that are needed on the ground. And the farmer needs this support, and the farmer is alone in the farm. I'll come back to the challenges, but I wanted just to say that what we need now is basic farm management to be adopted on the ground. Then I want to go to the challenges. I may not specifically talk about challenges we face while accessing technology, but yes, they touch on it. First thing is resources. The farmers that we have in the field are not well-to-do farmers. In Kenya, you will hardly see a 40-acre farm of cashew, commercial farming. In Kenya, you will see very few. I know they are there, but not many. But the majority of the cashew we produce in Kenya is by farmers who are doing one acre, 2 acres, half an acre. I'm currently working with about 600 farmers in Ganze, and the people who are planting 5 acres, out of the 600, cannot be more than 20. So we are talking about that small-scale farmers struggling to even maintain 1 acre. So access to funding, we know funding is there. We have banks, they will talk very well here, but when you walk into the banking hall, you realize you cannot get that money. That's a big restriction to farmers accessing finance. Even the money in commodities fund, I've been chasing that money for the last 1 year because of things I can't control. So finance is one. The other thing, of course, related to finance is the income these farmers are getting. You've had farmers and the expectations here. You still have farmers here in Kenya who sell their cashew at 30 shillings a kilo, 25 shillings a kilo of raw nuts. So this is not a farmer who will buy a drone. They will never buy that drone even if they wanted to, and they know the importance. It's related to incomes. So we need to work on the market situation. The farmer is there very helpless, has that little cashew. He has no say whatsoever in the decision of how much he will receive. It is the buyer who decides. And there's too many players between the final buyer and the farmer. So they are all eating at the expense of the farmer. The other challenge, of course, a general challenge is climate change. We are losing a lot of trees because of drought, especially under 1 year. But these are things which with the good agronomic practices we can manage. But we are also having pests and diseases. Farmers are suffering. As I can say here, what we are harvesting, the 8,000 metric tons that we harvest, we lose more than double that to powdery mildew alone. So you can imagine these are the challenges that are on the ground. And they are related to extension service. We really do not have a working extension service on the ground when you go there today. If I need the extension worker, he is there in the office, I have to pay for that person to come to the farm, advise, I pay him allowance to go back to the office. Not many farmers will do that. And that is the situation we find. When we come here, look at the statistics, we are not going to see improvement. Research is also disconnected from the farmer. We know the value of research, but research is disconnected because the researchers and the farmer are not talking. And when researchers research, they research based on the needs of the donor of that research. So we have publications that cannot find use in the farm today, and that is a problem. Then lastly, the farmer is, as I can say, is not in a position to influence policy as we speak. Even the agricultural policy, the cashew farmer here will speak, they will go, and when they come here next year, they will be told about statistics. There is no way these farmers have been made capable of influencing an MP to pass a budget for seedlings distribution. So policy and the farm, two different worlds, and we need to bridge that. I hope that answers something. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Hello, hello.
Thank you, Masha, for those comments. And I think our time is almost gone, but we want to invite Dr. Vinyange Pole as senior or chief scientist from Caro, who has worked so much with the cashew nuts almost in his entire life. And I want him to tell us what practical innovations from Caro are ready for scaling and what is needed to accelerate adoption. And number two, can research institutions better align their work with farmers' realities? Because we have heard what the farmers said, and the market demands. Kindly in a few minutes, because the time is gone.
Thank you, Dr. As you have heard, my name is Dr. Finyange Pole, and I work for Calro, based at Matuga. Now, coming to the practical innovations from Calro that are ready for upscaling and what needs to be done to accelerate the adoption. Number one, what we have done is varietal development. As of now, we have released 6 cashew varieties that are capable of yielding from 1,400 kilos to around 2,000 kilos per acre. These varieties are early maturing, high yielding. They are also climate resilient, and they are tolerant to some of the major economic important diseases. If you walk to because of time, if you walk to our stand, you'll be able to see them because we have a stand there. We also have some propagation innovations. Out of the varieties we have developed, we have 2 varieties that are specifically released for rootstock suitability. That means if you graft them, you use scions from the newly released varieties and graft on these 2, the chances of uptake is very high. I think it goes to up to 90 to 95% survival. So we also have a technology. If you go to our stand, there is what we call a seed ball technology, which means we have mixed different medias to cover the seed, because the seed has a very low viability. And if we just plant it, it might we might lose a lot of them. So we have that technology which can prolong the shelf life of the seed when planted. We have also perfected the cashew grafting techniques to ensure high percentage of uptake through staggering of the planting of the rootstock, so that we graft them at the right time, as Professor has just said. We graft them at the right time and at the right stage. Sorry. On pest and disease control, we have developed a compendium of all the major pests and diseases. After we did a survey on the common pests and diseases within the region, then we collected those pests and some of the diseased plants, and then we worked together with the Pest Control Products Board and developed this compendium. We have also come up with a screening protocol for powdery mildew disease, which we collect. We can inoculate we inoculate the cashew, the disease-free material plants, and then we see how susceptible they are for the powdery mildew disease. On agronomic practices, we have technologies for the rehabilitation of all the orchards. I will not go dwell much on them because the professor has highlighted them during his presentation. Post-harvest handling, we have technologies on cashew, how to harvest cashew, nut drying, sorting, and grading. Remember why most of the farmers here were complaining that the prices are low. Isn't it so? Munasema price in bei ya korosho ni duni. But what do you do to those cashew? You just pick them and send them to the buyer without even drying them, with a high moisture content. So instead of selling nuts to the buyer, like nuts and more, you are selling them water. What do you want them to do? And most of them will be bad nuts. So the recovery out of 1 kilo, you sell the raw nuts, they'll only get 25 grams. That is, and if they are lucky to do that, at times they can get even 20 grams or 15. So that's why the price is low. But I can assure you, if you dry your cashew, you sort and grade, nuts and more will give you up to 100 shillings per kilo. So that is what we do. So we have also developed some recipes for the cashew apple, including the juice, the jams, the pickles, and all that. So there are several things. So what needs to be done? We need to promote cashew planting with the newly released varieties. We have the varieties. We have both the grafted and the polyclonals. So we need to promote cashew planting. And here, I'll echo the sentiments of my colleagues that the government should really take a deliberate effort to promote this, because even if as scientists we get donor funding, a donor will not give money for cashew research, coconut research, because you are told a variety takes 20 years. These donors want to give us money to plant cowpeas, mahindi, because they are short-term and they also need short-term results. So it has to be a deliberate effort. And me, in fact, my proposal is that from this year to the next 5 years, each county, we start with the coastal counties, should be able to plant 500,000 seedlings per county for the next 5 years. That is when we shall get the numbers we want. Yeah? So we also need, as Professor said, each county should establish at least 3 scion gardens so that we get the scions and propagate the seedlings. We need to promote the cashew seed ball. Continuous training is also needed, and we need to train the extension workers, because most of them are the young ones who do not know even how a cashew plant looks like. So they have been recruited, but they need to be trained. Yeah. So let me finish by saying that when it comes to the market and what research institute can and how we should align ourselves to address the needs of the farmers, we need our research nowadays. Previously, we used to just sit down, think about a problem, and try to sort it out. But nowadays, our research begins with the farmer and ends with the farmer and what the market wants. Because we need to find out, when it comes to cashew research, what does the market need? Is it big nuts? Is it small nuts? And now we train the farmer on what he needs to do in order to achieve that, so that anytime the product is ready, there is a ready market. So our research nowadays is demand driven from the farmer and ends with the farmer. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Paul, and then let's clap for them properly. 1, 2, 3. I think we want to give for you, the audience, an opportunity to ask some questions before we finish the session. So how many questions do we have?
I have room for just 3. So I have 1, 2, 3.
Oh, yes.
That's okay. Straight to the point, to send the introduction. Sasa tumeshiba. Hai twende.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Keyo from Kefri. I have 3 questions here for Prof. You mentioned about water and cashew nuts. I'm wondering, those in very arid areas, if they need to do something with terraces to improve on water conservation, especially during the dry season, because I've seen those in very dry areas like Masongarin, they keep on drying. Number 2, on rehabilitation of old orchards. I'm wondering why we need to keep orchards more than 30, 40 years, because we have research and we have new varieties coming up all the time, improved varieties. I think we need to do what the tea farmers are doing, or coffee farmers, where they do removal and replant with new varieties. Number 3, on unfruiting trees. What could be the cause of the trees which don't fruit in the orchard? Could it be genetic? Thank you.
All right, thank you. He has set the pace, but I hope we will not have someone else with several number of questions. Who's the lady with a question? Kunandaji. Hi, let's go.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Naita. I'm a farmer in Magarini. I wish to ask Carlo, how can they facilitate the farmers who are willing to grow cashew nuts? Because now we buy their seedlings, but they are a bit expensive. Not any other mwananchi can afford 100 shillings per seedling. Now that they are very good at maybe bring up varieties that they yield faster, they need to support us. Thank you.
That's a straight question on affordability and what you can do to support us. There was one final question here. Where was that hand? Oh yeah, there you go. Then we close on that.
Good afternoon. My name is Swale Mambea from Kwale County, Ukunda. My question is directed to the researchers. Referring to our farmer, Mr. Emmanuel there, he has stated one issue regarding research. My question now is, Mr. Researcher, you have said that nowadays you are doing research from starting with the farmer and ends with the farmer. Now my question is that research for all farmers or a specific farmer? And again, is that research physically given or digitally given? And if it's given digitally, is it limited to only those farmers who had the issue, or for all farmers? Because I think we need to have an application so that every one of us can get access to it wherever we are. We are in a digital era. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's go ahead.
Okay. We have questions for Masawe, questions for Pinyange Pole on irrigation, and okay, Naija, you can also contribute. And if you have another question, you can write in a paper and let it come forward. We'll respond to you later. Or you can meet the panelists outside there. We'll discuss.
Michael, you are very correct that there's a problem in the areas of low rainfall, particularly when rainfall is below 900 millimeters per year. In those areas, we have a couple of recommendations. One, dig the holes before the onset of the first rains. In the case of the coastal areas or other areas, you must do it on the onset of the first rains so that the hole can preserve some water whenever it rains before you plant. That is one. In those areas, we don't recommend to use seeds at all. You must use seedlings. If that is the case, problem comes when farmers wait until at the mid of the rainfall, masika, katikati ya masika, ndio wanaenda kupanda. Sio kabla mvua zijaanza, katikati ya masika wanapanda. If you plant at that time, they will die. Even if it is in the coastal area, it will die. For the case like Mombasa and these areas, the end of planting should be February. Anything after February is a waste of time. Survival rate is very, very low. But if you do it in November, when you have the first rains, cashew is really drought resistant. It will still remain as a state of dormancy, but in January, February, it will boost up and take off. It will never die. The second question was about rehabilitation of the orchard. His questions was, why should we deal with a tree which is 40 years old instead of planting a new one? I think there's something I didn't elaborate very well. I talked about stamping. The original knowledge across Africa, we used to stamp at a height of 1 to 1.5 meters. But the current knowledge is, if we have a big tree, 40 years, 50 years, don't worry. You stamp at the branch level, and you top work with the improved planting material or a variety. Within 2 years, you'll get around 20 kilograms. Within 5 years, you'll keep on harvesting about 50. So why lose that opportunity of using the existing rootstock and waste your time to graft a tree, dig a hole, do intercropping, do watering, do disease control? Why? There's a shortcut, stamping. If they don't know stamping, consult me. I'll train you how to stamp big trees. Because one thing you are going to face, from the research point of view, they will never approve any fund for stamping trees above at the branch level. Why? They say it is too risky. Chainsaw cannot go up the trees there. Farmers in Tanzania, what they are doing is, they send somebody on the tree, keep on cutting the branches small, small, small until they reach the required level. They use a hand saw, to soften it. They don't need to cover it. And that one must be done during harvesting period, not after harvesting, during harvesting period. And by July, September, October, you have already the yield on the tree. Another question was, if a tree is not producing, is it genetical? Waswahili wanasema kwamba kuna mganga wa kienyeji ameloga mti hauzai. It's not true. Even human beings, some of us are not productive. Yes. Maybe we are 3 or 4 inside this room. Not because we are bad. That's how we were born. And that tree is the same. It doesn't produce because that's how it was born. So if it is genetical, I don't know. If we have to tell God why they do it, I leave it to you.
Okay. Let me respond to the question the farmer from Magarini was asking about affordability. Actually, our seedlings are actually cheap because that is only 100 and that price has stayed for over 5 years now. In fact, this year we wanted to revise them upwards because mafuta imepanda, lakini lakini tukaiacha hiyo price iwe hivyo hivyo. So what needs to happen now, I don't know, but we need the government to take it up, subsidy from the government, because these prices are set after considering all the factors, and we have it takes around 4 to 5 months to come up with a seedling. Imagine tumeipanda, tumeilea, kila kitu tumelipa hao wafanyikazi na tunalipisha tu ile bei ya mwisho kabisa 100. I think it's something which is subject to discussion, but that is the minimum we can do. On research for all farmers, yes, research is for all farmers. When the problems start with the farmer, it doesn't have to be everybody are consulted. We get views from the farmers who are representatives, and then we work on trying to solve the problem on behalf of all the farmers. So we do research for all the farmers. We are trying now to digitize the findings and all that, so that we can the farmers can be able to get them from the comfort of their houses through their mobile phones. Thank you.
I think we have come to the end of this session, and thank you, all the panelists, for your contributions and accepting to be part of the panelists. And the audience, thank you very much for listening, and also thank you for your questions. I hope you have learned, and each one of us has gotten something new in cashew nut production. Thank you so much, and I think we need to appreciate all of us.
Asante Chair. Wapi makofi ya the panelists, makofi tafadhali. Naomba msimame hapa for a quick picture. Photographer, if you don't mind, is the photographer in the house? Please take this picture very fast, then we can close. Karibieni kidogo, one step forward kidogo pale, ndio hiyo picha ipigwe. In the meantime, may I be ready to have Dr. Dele Adeni, the Assistant Director and Cashew Program Leader at Cocoa Research Institute, Nigeria. Nigeria is here. Na hawa watu wanakula pesa. Wacha tusikie, what are they doing there? So it will be very important as we get to this session of cashew production and productivity. Thank you so much to the panelists. Asante sana. Yes, the podium can come very close for Daktari as he comes over to just take us very quickly through this. And then immediately after, Mr. Matthew Mwamuye, Head of Programs Empowering Farmers Foundation Africa, EFF, will be getting set as well very quickly in that transition. Then we can get started. Thank you so much. We have his slides. But just before the slides come up, naomba tafadhali mbio mbio. Ebu simama kidogo tu, kuna daktari ameniangalia vibaya hapa. Simama kidogo, fanya ile kitu, hakikisha ile samaki imefika kule chini. Unajua mlikula ngapi nyinyi? Sawa. Haya basi, keti sasa. Hakuna pale wa kwenda. Keti tafadhali ndio tuweze kuendelea. Masomo ni mengi. Thank you so much, Doc Dele, please go ahead. Are the slides and the connector on? Please, go ahead. Yes. Guys, it's not on. What's up? What's happening? Yeah. Okay, this is something you're doing. Haya, tujitayarishe kidogo, mitambo 1 2 3. In the meantime, just be saying hello. Then you can just say next. We'll move it for you practically. Go ahead.
Once the pride of Kenya's coastal economy.
Let me have this slide so that we can buy some time.
Right, we are just about there in 20 seconds or so, and then we go. Yes.
Okay, fine. So you can change it for me.
Good. Go
All
ahead.
right.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to sensitize us on this title so that it can be a point of discussion with the panel and much later for the period of the conference. Cashew production. Okay. Cashew production system and research priorities for sustainable productivity. So now when we talk about the production system, we're actually talking about all that it encompasses in the all of the farm operations, from the cultivation, even the essence of planting material selection, to the management, harvesting, and all of that, to marketability. So to improve this productivity and, of course, profitability for the cashew value chain, extension services should not stop at farm level. What is common most of the system is that it's only the farmers that are targeted for the extension support, while other stakeholders in the value chains are left to find their feet. So we want to see a system that goes beyond the traditional message delivery, which is done by most of the time by the extension officers, to a system that supports productivity, quality, and climate resilience. And now the extension officers are not just seen as a trainer, but as a facilitator. Now let's see the main production system. What from the discussion from morning, we can observe that what we have commonly in Kenya is the traditional smallholders that complain of low inputs, scattered trees, the farm is not planned, just accidental planting or inherited orchard, so it is just the way it is. Then limited or no fertilizer is used, and they also depend on rainfall. Then we have some level of commercial, which have some class of organization, whereby the farm is planned with well laid out spacing. Then modern innovation in cashew research. In terms of digital agriculture, now we have to relate with people, use SMS, mobile apps, radio program, doing alert, and then we used to do a radio program as an institute where we reach out to farmers, and on occasions we go on radio, because for my country, in fact, that has turned me to be a radio man, because I need to get a phone that anytime I am can connect to any FM, because farmers in the most interior part, they can never be so poor that they will not get a radio. So we reach out to farmers from the interior, and we also do a call-in program where farmers call in to give you feedback of what happened. So we can explore this. We have a WhatsApp group created for a number of our extension officers, whereby a farmer can take a picture of a problem in the farm and send to the extension officer, and the extension officer can relate. Yeah, this is what we have done in terms of biotechnology for our mother tree selection. Good enough, Professor Mastawe was of a very good resource to us while we did this. So we need to explore this. Extension delivery have to go by this level. And then we need to improve extension to farmer reach. I had earlier that we have 2 extension per ward. I mean extension officer per ward. That's what I had this morning. And I was trying to figure out what is the population in a ward, around 33,000 to 40,000 people. So let's say out of that, we have 20,000 farmers. So we have 2 extension officers to deal with. You are going to kill him. You are going to kill him, because there is no way he can survive that. So research farmers extension leakage, researchers need to generate innovations. Prof talk about university student, beautiful, that's perfect, I love it. But we have problem, and our problem is grading. Our grading is based on academic performance, not on productivity. A student of agriculture is being marked on paper. How many baskets of yam have you produced? That is my grading. How many baskets of okra have you produced? That is my grading. To what extent have you fed? We have some students of agric in Nigeria that now make a living by selling vegetables and fruits. And they take it on campus. They wear the feed coat and put it at the bus stop for other students to come and buy. So they support themselves with their academic study while studying agric. So it's not all these agric on paper students. And this means that even our curriculum needs modification. We need to modify. So extension officer will take that innovation and translate. The farmer may not understand what the researchers are saying, but the extension officer has to break it down. So the extension officer must know the thinking of the researcher to be able to break it down. Private sector have to come in by input supply. Now, farmer, extension officer, and all of that. So, as I round up, we need to build specialized cashew extension structure. Agree with me, this is where to start from. What we have now are general extension officers, jack of all trades. They have all the answers. They give all the answers. Meanwhile, many times they are 80% wrong. We need to build a structure that have specialized cashew extension officers. Yes, a director talked about training of some people before now. Perfect arrangement, good one. But I'm talking about not classroom training, but field training. Hands-on practical delivery. not what they can do in the lab or on the field. How is grafting done? I don't need to explain that in English. Just put it. You know, farmers practice, they remember. If you tell them, they forget. Okay? So that should be hands-on. So we also need to promote farmer field school model, whereby recently we had the farmer business school model done in Nigeria, where we need to bring farmers in their communities and train them for 5 consecutive days before they are certified on agribusiness. So this we need to adopt. Let me go to recommendation. Yeah, this is a technology developed by a bank. That will surprise you. A technology developed by a bank for some group of farmers that have problem with water issue. So this is a solar pumping machine. And the bankers don't have any knowledge of agric. So they have to invite us to train them on what agric is all about, so that you can actually judge when you give a loan to farmer, if that farmer will be able to pay back or not. Many banks today, they go into financing farmers, but the farmers will not be able to pay back because what the farmer want to put that money into cannot succeed. So how will he pay back? Okay. Yes. Recommendation. Director has talked about recruitment, but we need to train, specialized cashew extension. And my recommendation is this: at the national level, development of policy, standard, and funding is important. I was having a side discussion with Mr. Ernest, and we are talking about policy and strategy. If there is no policy and strategy, there is nothing to work with. We are just playing. There must be something on paper as a roadmap to guide us. Then at the country level, we need to deploy extension officers and establishment of demonstration plots. And then we need to train youths and young adults on digital layers, especially use of AI. Then in the medium time, we have to expand digitized extension support. And when we have extension officers, we must also have a system that reward competence and integrity. This is part of what encourages the system to move forward. Lastly, we need to integrate this into national extension system. We also need to measure success. At times we feel we are doing fine, but we are actually not doing well if we don't measure. How many farmers have been trained and reached? How many farmers have adopted GAP? What has been our yield increase? Then, orchard rehabilitated. And at the end of everything, if farmer income remains the same, you have not done anything. You have not done anything. Everything must translate to shillings, dollars, pounds, euros, Yemens. Otherwise, whatever you do to a farmer, you have not done anything. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dele. Don't go too far, I'll be calling you back. Mr. Matthew Mamwe, the head of programs Empowering Farmers Foundation. You have your quick 10 as well. Please come up here. Talk to us very fast. Talk to the farmers. Let them know the new nuggets as well. Excellent. Karibu. May we have his presentation up, please? Sijui kama kwanza utasalimia watu, uambie ulitoka wapi.
Asante.
quickly.
So my name is Matthew Gilani. I work with Empowering Farmers Foundation. I know much has been said because we had two speakers in this session. So mine I'll be summarizing and giving you maybe the real examples of what has worked best.
Yeah, na naona iko tayari. Just
Asante.
very quickly, Juma Kikoi Shibe Nyiro, naona ule jamaa ako pale, hebu inua mkono. Those two farmers, tafadhali muone ni kidogo tu, dakika mbili. Ako na ujumbe. Haya, let's go sir. Karibu.
Yeah, so briefly, Empowering Farmers Foundation is a non-profit organization that is active in Kenya, Tanzania, and Zambia, and Mozambique. And basically our work is to improve the income of farmers and security and climate resilience of smallholder farmers. Then our donors is ETG Climate Solution, which is a company, and we are implementing a project called Tukuze in Kilifi, and the project is basically targeting planting of 250 trees, consisting of 100 cashew trees and 150 moringas per hectare. So by 2035, because we have started with Kilifi, we'll soon be going to Kwale, actually this year, and next year we'll be going to Taita, and we are targeting that by 2035 we should be clocking to 50,000 metric tons. I believe by this time we'll have increased the production, which is actually 5 times of what we are getting at the moment. So we started by planting 5,000 trees, that is in 2022, and this we were able to do this through AFA, and by this time we're happy that by the end of this season we would have planted 1.5 million cashew trees. So from the statistics that you've been given today by AFA, the 2 million cashew trees, for us, we have planted 1.5 new trees, and our target is to plant that one, to plant more of that, because those are just in Kilifi. We are soon coming to Kwale. If we have the space, we can plant more than 1.5 million. And if we go to Lamu, if we have space, we can plant more than that, and also going to Taita. So maybe in the next 3-4 years, we'll be having over 6 million cashew trees. So through implementation of this project, we are working very closely with youth. And so far in Kilifi, we have employed more than 200 youth who are implementing this project. So if we come to Kwale, the same will happen, and if we go to Lamu and Taita. So for these farmers, the farmers that we're working with, we have over 30,000 farmers, and for us to work with these farmers, for the services or for the project implementation to be efficient, we have a farmer ratio of 250 farmers to 1 field extension officer. You've heard from the counties we're having 2 extension officers per ward, which is very, very it's not a good thing, but for us we're implementing that ratio. At least the farmers will get the sufficient knowledge that they require. Next. Yeah, next. No, it's working. Yeah, so from what we've been discussing today, the digital extension tools, how can they enhance um, the implementation of this project, and especially when it comes to extension support. So we use digital apps to register farmers, and by doing this, we're able to know where our farmers are, what they have, and we also digitize the farmer plots. We can be able to know the number of trees that they have. We can also we also use bulk SMSs platforms to reach out to these farmers. So before we go into a new area, after we go into a new area, we usually do the baseline assessment, and these ones we use the digital tools that are available, so that we are able to get data like the demographics, the sizes of the land, and everything. When we also get to register these farmers using our digital tools, we usually do farmer monitoring, and when we monitor the farmers using these digital tools, we can spot field issues very early through the satellite or remote sensing. We also get to know, we can measure the results and the impacts of geotagged R&D plots. This is research and development plots. For the digital tools as well, they can be used to strengthen extension services, but it will only happen if they are faster, more and personalized and interactive as much as possible. For these digital tools, they should not replace extension, but they should only be used to enhance extension system. So because of time, I wish to stop there, because so much has been said. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.
Asante sana. And just for the next, actually, if I may use 15, alafu tumalize tufungie hapo. Sawa sawa, ndio watu waweze kwenda nyumbani. I would ask you to kindly take a seat there, right behind. Tech team, help me remove that podium, if you don't mind. The podium needs to move. Alafu sasa kama kuna swali yote ile, tutaweza kudiscuss pale. I want to request that we'll be very fast at this moment joined by Mr. Sebastian Kioko on the stage, the cashew farmer from Makueni. Aje pale, huyo amezalisha kule katika zao lake la korosho. Mr. Raymond Alan Kojo, Partnership and Technical Manager pale FIPS Africa. Tafadhali kama uko pale, njoo tafadhali ndio tuweze tuongee haraka haraka pale. Mr. Roman Shera pia, sijui kama yeye yuko, I think we have a representative wa CCM. Haya, alafu pia tuko na shukran. Asante. Alafu Miss Winnie Mbithe, Deputy Director ICT at AFA. Njoo tafadhali ndio tuweze kukamilisha this entire conversation. Gentlemen and lady, with the powers vested in me by the chairperson, mine will be just to say, to give you very fast a quick summary of the questions that I would like you to answer very fast, if you don't mind. And I hope you have microphones with you. If there are no microphones, could I have some of the microphones brought here so that we close with these ones? And if you don't mind, so that at least people can put a face on you, it would be nice that we identify them on this particular conversation here. Allow me to say, Dr. Dell, thank you for that session. 2 questions that you will answer, if you don't mind. I don't know whether you came with your notebook, so that we can quickly do this. I would want to give each speaker maximum of 2 minutes to close on that. But because Dr. Dell just came from the stage, I'll give you some moment to breathe, so that the others can also be heard and their voices. And because I can see Miss Winnie, you're the only lady here in this panel, so I will start with you, and your 2 questions will be this. Allow me to stand so that I can be able to see you at an angle. Ms. Sweeney, how can digital platforms improve extension services, traceability, and farmer coordination? I think we just heard that we need to enable these things. That would be question one. And question two, what opportunities you see that exist for integrating data systems across the value chain? Please answer those two questions the shortest way possible, then we move on.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Yeah.
As mentioned, I'm Winnie Mbithe, and I am the Deputy Director of ICT at the Agriculture and Food Authority. And I would say that I am passionate about leveraging on technology to solve complex problems and to address challenges that are there in the society, and again, to drive digital transformation for service delivery. Thank you very much for that question. And I'd like to start with how digital platforms have improved extension services, traceability, and farm coordination. I'd say that we are living in the digital age, and this is a period in time when there's a large expansion of and rapid usage of technology and internet. And digital platforms have come to revolutionize agriculture. We are seeing a lot of mobile applications and web-based applications, like the use of the Calro information system to disseminate information to the public. Other platforms like DigiFarms, which is a Safaricom-powered application, and many more like Ajira and MFarm, which provides marketing information to the farmer. So all these applications are coming in to provide information to the farmer, so that the farmer can be well equipped on skills that are required to ensure that there is productivity and they're able to manage their crop in the proper way. Again, we are seeing digital platforms providing for a two-way communication between the farmer and the extension officer, whereby by using the likes of WhatsApp messages, then messaging, then the farmer can be able to send a direct message to the extension officer and get information on a real-time basis without the farmer visiting the extension officer. Again, using the same WhatsApp, a farmer can be able to get a picture of the crop and send it to the extension officer and be able to get the information they require. Digital platforms have also revolutionized learning for the farmers by using multimedia learning, whereby we are all conversant with the short videos that are on YouTube, TikTok. We are all on social media, either one or all of them.
Ngoja. Ni wangapi wako TikTok? Hebu acha nione mko TikTok nyinyi. Farmers, ama mnaangalianga nini?
Yeah.
Diamond too. Nawaona. Na Instagram. Huyo ni nani? Oh, sawa. Okay, I was just confirming. At least the videos can get through, especially TikTok. Asanteni.
Yes, thank you. I know a lot of us are on videos, and if you're not, ask your young one to show you. Actually, even a grade 5 can be able to give you insights on how to use those platforms. So we can use those multimedia platforms to get practical examples of how to for crop management, and also to ensure that we enhance productivity. We are seeing a lot of usage of digital platforms for dissemination of information, and again, provision of markets. There are platforms that have been used to link the farmer to the market, like the DigiFarm, which is the Safaricom mobile. It links the farmers to farm inputs, and again, it links them to markets, so that they don't get the discomfort of having a middleman. Okay. On traceability, we are seeing traceability is very key in food safety, and we are seeing the use of QR codes and barcodes. A consumer who is in the US does not need to look for more information, but by a QR code that has been embedded on the product, then they can be able to get the origin of the product, and also they can also go to the extent of getting the inputs that have been used along the value chain.
Okay.
Regarding connection of farmers to markets, we are seeing a lot of coordination, whereby farmers are coordinated by cooperatives to come in and realize the benefits of a group whereby they can be able to have a bargaining power, maybe to get the markets and to access inputs. And this can be done by, we've seen a lot of groups, WhatsApp groups. We are all in WhatsApp group, and this has really come in handy, whereby an extension officer would provide a link, or rather create a group where farmers can be able to discuss all these issues that are surrounding crop management, pest control, and market access and input access.
Okay.
On to the next question.
Yes, on the opportunities, very fast.
The opportunities that would exist for integrating data systems across the value chain, I'd say that there are so many opportunities, and I think this is a very unrealized area. And I'd say that the first opportunity is traceability. There's the opportunity of traceability, whereby if systems are brought together, then the consumer can be able to get to know the data, the source of the produce, the quality, and also to know if the product they are consuming is compliance with the required regulations and rules. Then there's also the aspect of operational efficiency. When systems are interoperable, then be it if they are linked through APIs, data lakes, and things like shared platforms, this brings about the aspect of reducing duplications, reducing manual reconciliation and errors, and therefore this makes it seamless. You find that there is a seamless movement of of information from one system to another. I think there's a couple of them, including ecosystem level coordination. When systems are organized, then there's that level of coordination throughout the entire value chain. So I like to say that in a nutshell, what I'm saying is that sometimes the biggest upgrade on a farm is not a tractor or a new land, but it's knowledge. And today that knowledge can be found, can fit on your palms. A smartphone, when used well, it can really help the farmer to make decisions. It can be able to make the farmer get the skills that they are required to manage their crop and also to get into reliable markets. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Wow, that's quite something. And Natumai, we have followed a bit on some of what we can gain. Some people are looking at me like, wow, we're together. Now, let me first of all bring it down a bit to our farmer, because we have our farmer here. And just two things I want you to address. You have successfully been able to be in this business. And I wanted you to share, especially any challenge that you have seen and you were able to overcome, because a lot of farmers are here. Share very shortly. What can you tell them?
Yes, my name is Sebastian Kioko from Kibwezi West, Makueni County. I farm 3 acres of cashew nuts alongside with mango, millet, green grams, and so forth. Well, I'm honored to be here today so that we can share the constraints and the best practices we as farmers in Makueni have faced. Well, responding to the constraints, I think Makueni is a bit different from Kilifi and Kwale. Some of the areas are very, very dry. I think they are more than arid. They even they are very dry, in fact. And I want to support Adenia that he said that in the young seedlings we have to subsidize some water. We have to give them some water. We have either to keep the moisture levels at a certain level that they will not dry, because we need to plant them every time. It's not that we are falling to a certain pattern that we shall be planting them at a certain time of the year. So every time in Makueni we want to do the planting. Some of the constraint that we're having is unreliable rainfall. We have input costs of pest control, because every time you go to the chemist or agronomists and agrochemical shop, they will tell you the stuffs and the medicines, they have raised in prices. So there is that rising in prices that is affecting the farming of cashew nut in Makueni. Then we also having lack of quality seedlings, but we want to say that through AFA and the CARO, because they are here, they have talked about seedlings that have been that are polyclonal and they are hybrid. So we wish that we get those seedlings as quickly as possible, so that we may be able to plant, because Makueni we plant every time. The other issue is lack of capital. Most of the Makueni farmers, they live below the dollar, and most of them cannot be able to buy those smartphones as the Kwali and the Kilifi people. Most of them use Mulikamwizi. That's the truth of the matter, because our place is quite dry, and we want to upgrade so that we can be your baby. So in terms of passing information, maybe to the farmers, it is a little quite difficult, because you'll find that unless you use back SMS to reach the farmers, because we said, as we were told, that the extension officer in like a ward, one officer serving 500 farmers, which is not really doable in a way, and is really quite hard. So the other challenge that comes across is market and prices that are unstable. We would really wish to have a market and pricing that are stable, so that we can be able to empower the farmer, so that we can grow more cashew nuts in Kenya. On best practices, one of them is to use good agricultural practices. We do soil conservation, we dig trenches, we conserve rainwater, we do boreholes, and also the issue of mixed farming is very essential. Crop rotation, we have field hygiene, we have post-harvest management. Those are some of the practices that are very key to the cashew nut industry. And as we go, we start the journey, because we in Makueni, we are starting the journey. We would wish all the stakeholders and our friends from Nigeria and Tanzania to visit us and give us some advice on the same. Thank you.
Asante sana. That is real experience from a farmer, and even the challenges that are real as well to this one. Thank you so much for what you're doing in Makueni. Let's come to technology a bit more. Wacha tuwalete technology pia a bit more, all right? And we have Mr. Raymond Allen Kojo, and please, if you don't mind, you could share on these two areas. One, how digital advisory tools can be simplified so that the smallholder farmers can use them. And then number two is what role can last mile delivery systems play in improving productivity? Those two areas, simplifying for them, last mile productivity. Just press it on. If it's not on, use this one. Yeah, go ahead, use that one.
All right, thank you very much. FIPS Africa is a non-profit organization, and we work with small-scale farmers. Want to really help them improve productivity, and beyond that, we work with different actors so that we could be able to create a market system change that is able to help farmers increase productivity, increase income, and become more resilient. Now, having mentioned that, we implement what we call a village-based advisor model. I saw in one of Dele's presentation that there's village-based facilitators. And I would like to say that we have boots on the ground in both Kwale and Kilifi, and so we can bridge that extension gap. So with that background, yeah, there's been digital tools, and most of them are either mobile-based or web-based. And it's good to acknowledge that there has been rapid increase in use of digital tools. Now, the dilemma we have is that most of these digital tools, they were developed not really with the farmer in mind, because most were developed looking at how rapidly can we increase, or how rapidly can we increase farmers. Then that brings in the question of, are they useful? Yes, they can reach farmers at scale, but are they useful? So looking at that, probably there's much that can be done to make them useful, and we can co-create on this together. Maybe just looking at to make them. One, now two, most of them are designed in a way that they give information and does not necessarily support decision making. And I bet that is what farmers need, because, and no offense for maybe people who have developed apps like the weather updates app. When you tell me that there will be rain tomorrow, the question I remain asking myself as a farmer, so what? Okay? So basically what I'm saying is that we need to go beyond just passing information, but also enabling farmers with information that can help them make decisions. If it's going to rain tomorrow, then I need to have prepared holes for my cashew nut seedlings. So that's where, one of the things. And then lastly, in terms of, there are quite a number of things that we can do, but I'm just trying to highlight a few.
Yeah.
In terms of training farmers on the complex aspects. Now, most of these digital tools are mostly theoretical. So how do we include visual functions to be able to explain the complex processes that farmers might need to be able to understand? And maybe lastly is just, how do we humanize it? Most of these digital tools, even if you look at AI at the moment, AI will never tell you, I don't know. It will always give you any response you want. But then at the end of the day, we need to attach it to, and I've heard most of the presenters talk about it, there needs to be some human context or human attachment in a way that the information we get is validated. So platforms that have attachment to human aspects will make those technical training messages probably simpler. Now, in terms of scaling, basically, there's been a lot of competition in designing these systems. How I wish that the approach we take is looking at who has developed what and how can we collaborate rather than compete to be able to come up with one single tool or approach or system. And then just a hybrid function, a hybrid that includes the digital and human support. Now, quickly on the question about last mile delivery, because that is our bread and butter as FIPS Africa.
Yes, quickly, please.
I think there are maybe 2 or 3 importances for that. One, it allows localization, and where there's localization, allows every farmer to see that some other farmer can succeed. And if there's a farmer locally who can succeed, then my confidence is built that I'm able to also succeed. Now, number 2, looking at that, I can also be, my confidence around growing and planting cashew nuts is also increased. And with last mile extension, there's also ability to scale rapidly in a timely way. And lastly, there is a feedback loop in that if something is not working, then you can easily get that feedback as the person running the program.
All right, thank you so much. And maybe the final person we have not had today is the CCM, county government, right here in Kwale. Mr. Roman Shera. Maswali ni mawili for you, 2 questions. How can counties better support these farmers through extension inputs or policy support? You'll choose what to say on that. And then number 2, what investments are needed at county level to improve production so that we're not doing what Professor was telling us, watering the old and it cannot function. You had it, but anyway. Karibu sana, tafadhali.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much. And good evening.
Good evening.
I am not a CC. My name is Bernard Mainga.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
but maybe we are blessed in you.
yeah, maybe in future. Yeah, I'm the County Director of Agriculture.
Okay.
And I have 2 questions. I will briefly, they are long ones, but I will be brief.
1 minute each.
One is how can counties better support for cashew nut farmers through extension, inputs, and the policy support. I will start with the first one, that the extension. Counties can actually go beyond the general extension approach and actually target on value chain support, especially cashew nut. And this one will make sure that counties actually give more emphasis on cashew nut value chain and other value chains. One, through strengthening extension services in the counties. And the most important thing is that, like in our count, we have extension officers in every ward, but we do not have cashew nut value chain focused or trained officer. So one of the things counties can do is that they deploy specialized cashew nut extension officers in every ward with full support, especially transport, so that they can be continuous in the field, so that farmers can also meet them and train them on cashew nut production. And the way we started here, right from the morning, we have seen there's a lot in cashew nut production. And we have been talking about cashew nut since morning. So counties can also benchmark with other areas like Tanzania, areas where we have high cashew nut production, Ivory Coast, and other areas, and or even other counties. Like the counties which are starting can also benchmark with other counties which are also doing cashew nut production. Then the other thing is the county should institutionalize a farmer field schools approach. Farmer field school approach in areas like practical demonstration based on learning, and mainly cashew nut pruning, canopy management, pest and disease management, and also optimal spacing, and the use of lead farmers and the cooperatives to scale up knowledge and technology transfer. So that is one way through extension. One is deploy specialized cashew nut extension officers, is to realize field schools, and then digital extension, plus what we call last mile delivery of extension services. And this one can either be through SMS, WhatsApp, and advisory platforms. We also have video-based training, farmer trainings, and also we also have radios, the local languages, vernaculars, which can also be used to train farmers. The other one is to strengthen farmer groups, especially register and train farmers in cashew nut cooperatives.
Okay.
Link these extension, link these cooperatives to other extension, credit, and the market enablers, and also even the financing institutions. The other thing the counties can do in the extension services, the counties can also train what we call paraprofessionals in cashew nuts. That is farmers. Normally here we call them private service providers. And these private service providers, if well trained and also given inputs like sprayers, pumps, and also other materials, they can give services to cashew nut farmers on a small fee. You agree on spraying one tree is 20 shillings, 100 bob. This one farmers can afford to pay, and they actually get the knowledge. The other approach that counties can do to support farmers in cashew nut is input support to the farmers. What counties can do is actually either they can distribute improved seedlings, they can also subsidize these seedlings so that farmers can get them at actually lower fees. And this will enable farmers to replace the aging trees, the one actually we have been talking about. And they can also promote new high-yielding disease-tolerant varieties from Carro, and also counties should establish certified nurseries.
Okay.
At the same time, like here in Kwale, we also have those nurseries, and the nursery operators are trained and they are certified. They are given certificates from KFIS so that they can sell those seedlings. The other thing is support orchard rehabilitation programs. And I think the doctor from Nigeria has talked about this rehabilitation of the old orchards. And this can be done through the top working, the copicing, replanting schemes which are with phased income support, soil and water conservation, especially in the coastal dry areas like in Makueni. You have to do a lot of conservation so that cashew nut can survive. Then number 3, what counties can do is actually policy and institutional support. Counties should come up with cashew nut related strategies, policies, align with the national policies like Kenya Agricultural Extension Policy, include production targets, processing capacity, and market linkages. So those are some of the things the government, the county governments can do. They can also actually work in hand with the private sector on the PPs, allow NGOs and the private farms like FIPS to deliver extension services to the farmers without competition. And I think he has said that. And also offer tax incentives for processors, land utility support of factories, and any other person who wants to invest in cashew nut sector.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I can tell there could be a lot, and
Yeah.
there is quite a lot I can see.
Yeah.
About to flip the page.
Yes.
Could you finally go to the last part
Let
of
me
it
go
now?
to the last question.
Yes,
I have
please.
so many of these, and I think
I was worried,
I
government.
think you are worried about it.
Yes.
Then what investments?
Yes,
These ones
please.
I think I will give them brief.
Yes,
Just
and
give them brief.
absolutely. Please, if you don't mind, 1
Yeah,
minute.
the investments that counties can do,
Mhm.
and one of them is planting materials and orchard development,
Mhm.
foundations, use of certified seeds. They can invest on that.
Mhm.
Extension infrastructure and human capital.
Mhm.
County governments can do employment.
Mhm.
They can deposit officers. They can actually provide transport.
Okay.
They can also close the gap of the low farmer to extension ratio, which we said like now the EFF, Manjirani, is talking about 250.
Okay.
Here we are talking about 1 to 1,000 farmers, which is too high. So
Mhm.
we can see close that gap. And then we also come up with the low cost but high impact investments within the county.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, there's another flip.
There are so many, but
I can tell
that
there will be so many. I was worried. You know, he
but
came with
those
a-
are the mainly
Thank
the
you.
investment the county can do.
Thank you.
And what the counties can do to assist our farmers in production.
Yes.
And also increase profitability in the cashew nut industry.
All right. Mheshimiwa, I hope you'll appreciate this being a panel. It has to be as brief and straight to the point. But probably we need to organize a session where you can have a good speech and deliver it. But thank you so much for those highlights. Please note this, Mheshimiwa, as well, that, in as much as you're advising what counties can do, you are the SI unit, because Kwale is the house of cashew nuts. So probably you could also, in the next sessions as well, tell us practically what you have done as well here and what can be done as well, and even the lessons you're taking home. My two speakers who started, I will not ask you any other question. All I'll ask you is in 1 quick minute, any other thing you feel you may want to add for the farmers to hear, for the people who are here to hear as well. Anything, and I hope that yours can come from a Nigerian practical way on how we can probably improve our own productivity. Very quickly, I know you may have have said it maybe in the presentation, but very quickly in your summation, 60 seconds, go ahead.
All right, I think we need to leverage on the effort some of these private people have done, so that we don't reinvent the wheel. The country director was talking about engagement. We have a lot of young adults walking the street that are ready to do anything on their phones and laptops. Why can't the country send them to these guys to be trained? Not as their staff, but as agents for the country. These people have the expertise, the knowledge, the widespread, the experience, and you are taking off those guys off the street. Because what you are introducing to them is what they love to do. You'll be amazed what their responses will be. Then lastly, we also need to leverage on their successes in terms of data. The madam was talking about data, so that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Let's have the data on the acreage, the number of trees, number of farmers. Then the farmers can now work on the productivity of their trees so that they will know which one need rehabilitation, which one does not. And this will save all of us a lot of time.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yes, please, if you could sum it up. Your 60 seconds now.
Yeah, thank you. So for me, I'll just talk about production, because there have been a lot of efforts to revive the cashew nut value chain, and we've been telling farmers to plant trees every year in, every year out. And if you go to the ground, these trees are not there. So what are we getting it wrong? For me, I would suggest that we should first talk to our farmers to understand why we are planting these trees. From there, we should also ensure land preparation is done early. We've heard that areas we need to prepare the land even before the rains. So these are the things that farmers don't do. We give a lot of seedlings, millions of seedlings, but when you go to the ground, the seedlings end up drying under the trees. So if we learn from these mistakes, I believe we can take our value chain a bit higher. So we have a big target, or we're saying that we want to get to our Tanzanian neighbors. They are doing more than 300,000 metric tons. We are below 10. How can we surpass what they are achieving? And
wow,
thank you so much.
Your professor kwa hapa ametupatia siri zake. Asante sana. Let's appreciate the panelists. Makofi tafadhali kwao. And thank you so much for being patient. Naomba tafadhali tusimame. We're going to stand and do a quick picture. At this rate, Daktari, you'll have learnt a lot of Swahili at this rate and take it to Nigeria. Great. Excellent. I love that. Let's take that picture. Photographer, if you don't mind. And ladies and gentlemen, I think this was the last session. Mine is just to say asanteni sana kwa kusikiza. Today we had a poem. Ako wapi huyu jamaa? Unataka kuimbia moja? Lakini si saizi. Director, you're set to come and close for us so that we can have our housekeeping for tomorrow. Everybody say kesho. Kesho usipokuwa umeketi saa 2:30 utapitwa na mambo. Na najua huku saa 2:30 itabidi umekanyaga sijui niseme nini. But karibu sana director, kindly wrap it up for us. But I have one